Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. I'm Carlos Roberto along with Jake Berry, and it's the casual Jake Berry today as he's got his Duke Blue Devil shirt on. He's got the Texas going on, and we also have some Seattle Seahawk fans here. Why don't you throw me that cap, Darren, because this cap was ordered right after the Seahawks won the Super Bowl. And, of course, Darren Henderson, our cameraman from Seattle, of course, he wanted to wear his jersey tonight, but he said, we'll go ahead and save that for football season. But we're talking basketball, Jake, and Harlingen South and Sharyland, a big game that took place at State Farm Arena. You were there. What was the atmosphere like in that game?
You know what? It was a great atmosphere. It was a pro court, so you got the NBA size court on there. They moved the lines, but man, the fans came in, they packed the place, and it was a lot different than Sharyland's last game before they played. When they played Rowe and they beat Rowe, because that place was packed and there was standing room only. This one was a very comfortable but packed feeling. It was really great.
All right, well, let's take a look at those highlights. Harlingen South versus Sharyland from Tuesday night. This game taking place at State Farm Arena in Hidalgo, and watch Harlingen South all night long shooting those long-range three-pointers. This is Sean Montemayor hitting it there. Then it's Grant Preciado hitting it from way downtown. How about another one? Nick Garcia, welcome to the three-point party. Sharyland running and gunning here. Going down there, that was Pistocacci, Jesse Pistocacci, but making the shot is Patrick De La Torre for Sharyland. Meanwhile, Harlingen South, once again, from outside all night long. 9 3-pointers for them. They led at the half 33-22 and ended up winning that game by a final score of 64-41. All right, so Harlingen wins that game once again by a final score of 64-41. And, taking a look at those highlights, they were shooting from the outside, Jake. 3-pointers all night long. Angel Gonzalez, 17 points for him. Nick Garcia, Grant Preciado, and Daniel Perales all had 14 points, and a lot of that came from beyond the arc.
Yeah, I mean, this team from the get-go was shooting. They were shooting the long ball, and what that did was it opened up the middle. What I was impressed was their defense, because their defense shut down Jesse Pistocacci. I mean, he had a very tough, difficult time, and they were manning him up. It wasn't like they were doubling him. They weren't going on box and one. They were just sending one guy at him, and I think it was Perales that was locking him up most of the night.
Yes, and Sharyland, just getting to this game was big. In that game, we didn't even have a chance to talk about how they beat McAllen Rowe and pulled off the big upset right there. But it seemed like they kind of peaked out, I guess, a little bit against McAllen Rowe and didn't have enough for Harlingen South.
Well, and look, it was a little detrimental to be playing on an NBA court because they leave the red line out there, and that's the Vipers line. That's the NBA line for three-pointers. And a lot of the times the Sharyland players were looking at the line and shooting at that line, whereas the Harlingen South players were finding the right line, the white line, and they were just nailing shots left and right.
All right, so Harlingen South moves on to the next round of the playoffs where they'll take on San Antonio Madison, a team that is 27-6. We'll talk more about them, but first let's hear from Coach Brian Molina, who says he's going to stick to the game plan, and that means, yes, shooting from the outside.
It's gotten us here. And, a lot of people have sat there and said, are you going to change up your philosophy? I'm not going to change anything. It's what we do. It's who we are. It's our identity. And I just tell the kids, play with a lot of confidence and go out there and shoot with a lot of confidence. And God willing, the ball fall for us again tomorrow or Friday night.
All right, thank you very much, Coach Molina. And San Antonio Madison, 27-6. We don't know too much about them, but we do know that they played against San Antonio East Central, and East Central had two guys well over 6 foot. They had one guy at 6'3" and another one at 6'7", and they were still able to beat them. So that shows that they're a pretty athletic team.
Yeah, and look, it's a little bit different. I mean, I got to see Madison a couple times when they played Weslaco, when they played Edinburgh in the Sweet 16. Mm-hmm. It's a really good team. They're always coached well. They've got size. They've got players that go to Notre Dame, different players all over the place. it's going to be a different matchup for Harlingen South. Now, here's the one thing that Harlingen South does. They put 5 shooters on the court, and they're all ball handlers. So that's one thing San Antonio Madison is going to have to do is they're going to have to account for all these players because there's a lot of scores out there for Harlingen South.
JaMychal Brown scored 17 points for San Antonio Madison. He is a junior, and he's a point guard for the team, so obviously they like to take it from the outside as well. Or you know, we really haven't seen any film on him, but if it's a point guard shooting, you think maybe he's shooting from the outside, or maybe he's driving to the hoop. Nevertheless, it's going to be JaMychal Brown with 17 points, and he's going to bring his game to University of Texas Pan American. Do you think that's kind of an advantage to have the game down here in the Rio Grande Valley again?
I can say, I mean, look, being an assistant, you know, you get to see the team from the Sweet 16 from a different angle, but when you get to San Antonio, usually when we got to San Antonio, you would go up there and you'd have to find a gym to go practice in. It wasn't, you know, anything you were comfortable with. You had to sleep in a hotel. Here we get to stay in our own beds. We get to drive, you know, 20, 30 minutes to the game, and it's a lot more convenient for us. It is honestly a real good home court advantage. I think it's going to bode well for our teams. It's going to be a question of size.
Sure, absolutely. And it always is when you play against the San Antonio schools. They're more athletic, you know, they got more size, and whether it's football, basketball, or any other sport, it's better competition when you're going up against the schools from San Antonio, Houston, or Dallas, so no doubt about that. We're still the small town guys, you know, kind of like Hoosiers going up there to play against the big city guys. One guy who's been playing very, very well is Grant Preciado. And he's got, you know, we've been talking about him all season long, the dunks, you know, dunking this and 2 or 3 dunks in the game. And we talked about that. Say, is he going to try to go up there, and is he going to try to, you know, put on a show for the fans at UTPA? Here's what he had to say.
I don't know, man. It all depends what situation I'm in and if I can get it or not. I'm not a person that really looks to dunk every game, but I mean, if the opportunity presents itself, I'll take it.
All right, so Preciado there, you know, being modest, you know, he's gonna take whatever is given to him, and that's kind of the attitude that you have to have going into a basketball game like this, and it's a team game, and that shows a lot what Brian Molina has done with that team. Hey, you're going in there, you play as a team, you win as a team.
Yeah, I can tell you this though, I don't know if I believe you, Grant, when you tell me that that you don't, you know, that you everybody wants to dunk, and especially this kid. This kid's motor's always going. He's very cocky, and I like that because you need somebody with a chip on their shoulder when they're playing, and especially against these San Antonio teams, you can't have somebody that's going to back down. So that's going to do well for him this Friday.
All right, so it's going to be a double header on Friday night at the University of Texas Pan American, because Edinburgh North, they go up to Corpus Christi and they beat Laredo Alexander. They were down at the half by 2 points, but Jonathan Ramos scored 13 points in the fourth quarter to lead Edinburgh North to a comeback victory to beat Laredo Alexander. That score was 50-43.
Yeah, which was real surprising because Edinburgh North earlier in the year had handled Alexander very easily earlier in the year, within the first few games of the year. And so it was an eye-awakening game for them because I guess they realized what they had to do, because in the second half they took charge, and it was Ramos who was leading the charge. But they have the Beltran brothers. They've got a great team. They're going to have to put it together if they wanted to survive at this next game, because Judson is one of the best teams they are the best team in the entire state.
Right. Ranked number 1 in the state of Texas, so they'll be coming into the University of Texas Pan American. But, you know, once again, going back to what Coach Molina has said, you know, shooting from the outside, maybe not taking it, deep inside and trying to go. I think that Garza is the man that they go to with Edinburgh North. They got the Beltran brothers, like you talked about, Jonathan Ramos. If they can open it from the inside, they'll have a chance.
Yeah, it's going to take a near perfect game for all the teams that we have down here. It's usually going to take a near perfect game. You're going to have good scoring. You're going to have to make your free throws, and you can't have stupid fouls late in the game that are going to cost you.
All right, so it's going to be a tough game for both these two teams, for Harlingen South and for Edinburgh North. They're going to be the underdogs without a doubt going into this game. So that'll take place on Friday. We might have it live on 956sports.com. We're still working the logistics of all that, like we've been doing week in and week out with the athletic directors across the Rio Grande Valley. And also we're dealing with San Antonio. So log on to 956sports.com to see if we'll have that game for you. It'll be, once again, Harlingen South versus San Antonio Madison and Edinburgh North versus Converse Judson. We're going to take a break. You're watching the show on 956sports.com.
to cut a commercial for the Paint Auto Group's Automotive On-Demand program.
Most car dealers have a gorgeous young lady in their commercial.
That's a great idea. We need one too.
Be right back.
She can tell people how to check out all the videos on the makes
And models that the Paint Auto Group has to choose from.
Ta-da!
You have got to be kidding.
Not sure that's what I meant by gorgeous. Shop 24/7 at thepaintautogroup.com.
Regardless.
She will get attention.
All right, and welcome back to the show, brought to you by McDonald's, South Texas College, and Payne Auto Group of the Rio Grande Valley. I'm Carlos Roberto, along with Jake Berry. Well, the basketball season is now over for the girls. Unfortunately, Weslaco was the last team standing, and they lost last week. But let's take a look at next year's team, because you got to believe that Weslaco is going to be one of these teams to look out for once again. Yeah, Laura Van Tilburg, she's going to graduate. She's going to go on to, hopefully great things at the University of Texas Pan American. Summer Smith is also going to graduate, but that's it. They have everyone else coming back on that team.
Yeah, they're one of the favorites for next year. You have to look at Edinburgh Vela, who returns basically almost their entire team too. They have Azabel, Ariel Rodriguez is coming back. They return most of their nucleus. So Vela, them,
Think of McCallum Memorial. I think they were a young team, but I remember watching them play against Weslaco. They're a very young team, freshmen and sophomores on that team, but they have a lot of height and a lot of athleticism. If they can put it together, they might have a good season.
Yeah, and they're going to be going through a coaching change too, so they don't know who their new coach is. So there might be some growing pains there. So we don't know about that just yet either because of that. But I've got to say that I'm around Edinburgh girls basketball. They've got a lot of girls coming up that are going to be, and not to say because I coached them, but they're going to have a scoring team. Whether or not they play defense like they did this year remains to be seen. But as far as scoring wise, they're going to put up a lot of points next year.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and talk or hear from Coach Griselda Fino from Weslaco. She talks a little bit about what she's expecting from her underclassmen coming into next year.
Because we just talked about that in the locker room, and we talked about, the underclassmen having some big shoes to fill, and they've lost, 5 ball games in the last 2 years. That's amazing. That's amazing, and I don't remember when the last time we lost a district game was. I don't remember when the last time we lost to a Valley team, and it's all because of those kids, those kids are they're set, and they have so much pride and so much discipline in what they do, and they refuse to fail.
All right, thank you very much, Coach Fino, and good luck to all basketball teams next year. And I know that basketball season never ends here in the Rio Grande Valley, because the summer leagues will start up here pretty soon, and they'll get right to work.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun, interesting season next year. We'll actually get to see who surprises us next year.
All right, and we'll see who comes out and who's going to be the next star or the big person that we'll be following, like Laura Van Tilburg was for us this year. Let's talk boxing now, because Omar Panterita Figueroa is going to be fighting here pretty soon. March 8th in Las Vegas, he's going to fight against Ricardo Alvarez. Omar is now 22-0-1 with 17 knockouts, and Alvarez is 23-2-3 with 14 KOs. And, boxing is kind of very interesting here in the Rio Grande Valley because of Omar. Omar is a former Weslaco East Wildcat. He played for the Wildcats. He was on the swimming team. He was on the baseball team. He's a state Golden Gloves champion, and he's kind of that celebrity here in the Rio Grande Valley that we get to follow and we get to pull for.
Yeah, and look, the one thing about, you look at Omar, you would never think that he was a world-class boxer. He's just too pretty. He's a very good-looking kid. You look at him, you're like, no, I don't think so. But then when you watch this kid play or fight, it's amazing because the kid's a tiger.
Yeah, and he's always been just an outstanding athlete. Whatever he did, he's a four-year starter for Weslaco East when he played on the baseball team. And you don't do that, at the high school level. He still owns a record in swimming there in Weslaco, the school record in swimming. And he's just one of these guys that whatever he does, he's actually pretty good at. He's also an artist. And you know, I don't know if he can sing, but he's got a lot of talent, and it's just fun rooting for him. So we'll have to wait and see how he does. And speaking of athletes and speaking of celebrities here in the Rio Grande, it's always fun to watch them go on. You know, Omar still lives here in the Rio Grande Valley. You know, now he's training out of California. He'll be in Vegas here pretty soon. But also Juan Castillo. You know, Juan Castillo played football at Port Isabel, and then he was at Texas A&M Kingsville, coached at Texas A&M Kingsville. Now he's with, who is he with now?
He's in the NFL, I believe,
He's in the NFL.
Yeah, he was with the Philadelphia Eagles.
He was with the Eagles.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm drawing a blank at which team he ended up with, but I know it's one of the top teams in the Rio Grande Valley. And then also we have Robert Garza from Rio Hondo, who's in the NFL and playing for Chicago Bears. So we'll see who the next guy to come out of the Rio Grande Valley who we can follow along. Is there anybody right now you're thinking of, maybe in the college ranks, moving on? Who's going to be? Who's going to be moving on? Who's going to be the next guy to look out for from the Rio Grande Valley that's going to have that?
I like to think it's going to be Trevor Spates.
Okay.
So I think Trevor Spates is the sky's the limit for that kid, because man, everybody wants him. I do know that from what I'm hearing is that Arizona likes him too. So if they get Patterson and him,
sure,
that'd be a nice little Valley combination.
Absolutely, and it was fun watching Shea Patterson while he was here in the Rio Grande Valley. You know, he played all of junior high here. He played his freshman year, and now he's doing good things in Louisiana. Yeah, he won a state title, private school title in Louisiana, and from what I understand, LSU is interested in Shea Patterson, so we'll have to wait and see what happens there.
Yeah. I do know, though, that his brother is actually a coach now at Arizona. So
okay.
So, it might be a good way of keeping him there.
Sean Patterson.
Yeah.
I believe it's Sean Patterson. Yeah, because Sean played a little college football as well, and he was trying to move on. And so, so that's going to help him out a little bit.
Yeah.
Go on to Arizona. All right. Well, that's our show for tonight. We're going to take a break here, folks. We got a couple of weeks. We got a lot going on. Yours truly, I'm going to, I got the assignment of going to Las Vegas to cover Omar Figueroa.
Sucks.
What are you going to do?
I'm actually going to the island. I'm hosting a couple things for MTV. So.
All right, so we're going to keep busy, but so there'll be lots of action going on at 956sports.com. Look out for coverage of Omar Figueroa. We're going to take a few weeks off. We'll be back probably around the first week of April. We'll be talking baseball. We'll be talking softball and any other coaching changes that are going on across the Rio Grande Valley. We'll be talking about them right here on the show. Sponsored once again by South Texas College, McDonald's, and Payne Auto Group of the Rio Grande Valley. For Jake Berry, I'm Carlos Roberto. We'll see you next time.